There was something that I was reading in the newspaper today, and it's a report from the Wall Street Journal. So I read The Mint. It's a newspaper here in India. It's an economic newspaper. And I think that every spiritual person should also make it a habit to read an economic newspaper. You know why? Because you know how they say that if you don't take interest in politics, doesn't mean that politics doesn't take an interest in you. It's the same thing with economics. If you don't take interest in economics, doesn't mean that economics doesn't have an impact on your life. It absolutely does. And that's something that every spiritual person should do, which is going to give you an edge. So this is what differentiates spiritual people from people who don't believe in spirituality, who think, Vedic astrology, everything is just hocus pocus, is that they are completely ignoring a facet of learning that they could utilize. We don't have to be like that. We can be spiritual and we can also be practical, and we can make it both work to our advantage. So just keep that in mind. Anyways, and so there is something called the innovator's dilemma. You know what that is? Innovator's dilemma refers to how large companies can quite often be hesitant to cannibalize their most successful products or services because it puts them in a precarious position. It's like if we cannibalize the one product or the one service that is making the most revenue for us, then where does that leave us? And that's a big problem, because when a company becomes big and it stops innovating, and quite often innovation means you're going to have to do away with something which is already working and keep up with the times. When big companies stop doing that, a new player comes along and captures that space in the market, captures that opportunity, fills up that vacuum, and pretty soon, out of nowhere, this big company is put out of business. One of the similar things that's happening right now are Intel chips. There's actually this report here. I'd like to share this, this report. Okay. And so it says that Intel is actually losing out on market share in a big way because new chips have the ARM architecture. I'll simplify it for you. Intel specialized in performance, but times have changed. And now more and more power efficient microchips are becoming prominent. And this is where a lot of these new companies are gaining a huge traction in the market. It's not something which has just happened to Intel. This is something that happened to Kodak as well. Kodak thought, we're making these cameras, and cameras are never going to get out of business, and they still kept working on that same model of using the films that needed to be developed. What happened? Smartphones came along out of nowhere, put Kodak out of business. Same thing happened with Boeing. Boeing, at one point of time, it was one of the biggest, most important jet companies ever. I mean, they built the, biggest jets, right? But suddenly they stopped innovating. They became complacent. And so everybody knows the situation that Boeing is in right now. And if you look at Apple, a company that, it's the first $1 trillion company. It has consistently kept up with the times. I don't know if that's going to still be the case many years from now, but at least right now, at least under Jobs, they did a great job of it. You know how? They had a great product. They had a product that completely disrupted the market, the iPod. But when they made the iPhone, they knew that the iPod was something that would need to be cannibalized. Why? Because, that feature is automatically available in the iPhone, in the smartphone. And so they built on top of that. And that ensured that they remained ahead. This is where, when you look at it from a spiritual perspective, that's okay too. You need to learn when you need to let go of something and follow your North Node. If you truly want to achieve fulfillment, if you truly want to achieve success of the highest degree, when you hold on too tightly to one thing that works out pretty well for you, that has been working out pretty well for you, that's when you're putting yourself in a bad position. Okay? So this is just something that I wanted to share with you guys. It's kind of building on top of the video that I made yesterday, that you have to be very, logical with respect to where you are and accepting of where you are. Don't be driven by insecurity. There's a flip side to that coin again. Don't become so comfortable where you are that you're not able to get out of that comfort zone and move towards a higher accomplishment. Okay? And at a very practical level, this goes for your business, this goes for your skills, right? Look at all the people who were dependent on doing things a particular way. AI has come along and rendered a lot of people jobless as a result of that, rendered a lot of job roles redundant. Okay? That's just a very important thing to keep in mind. So yeah, see you again tomorrow. Hariom.